and that the streets will never forget Palace Maverick, or a devastating hybrid of Mahrez, Sane, Di Maria that could light up the biggest nights in world football. Just how good is Michael Olise?
Fabulous run here by Olise, back on his left side. Oh my goodness!
In terms of goal threat, with an average of 0.31 expected goals per 90, 0.5 non-penalty goals per 90 this season, Olise is undoubtedly a formidable offensive force. Now, unlike some players who like to shoot indiscriminately, Olise's attempts are calculated, they're precise. His ball striking technique is, it's so natural. It's characterized by a blend of finesse, power. He imparts such bend and whip on the ball, even on the half volley. And even when his body position is more awkward, it's more vertical, straight, and there's not much angle to work with, he can still achieve remarkable curl on the ball. And that technique reminds me of players like Rugby, David Luiz, who could, using their instep, running in a straight line towards the ball, still impart a lot of curl and power. But he does it in open play. Inside the penalty box, he's got that composure. He can make complex finishes look routine. I think he's also a formidable set-piece specialist, penalty taker. He can take free kicks, often from distances even beyond 25 yards. So yeah, his finesse shooting is superb, but I think there is room for improvement in terms of his laces technique. His shots using the laces appear quite loopy, and I think he needs to flatten that out. And if he does that, then he could become more of a Phil Foden in terms of that variety and versatile way of ball striking. His weak foot shooting is decent, but again, potential for growth. Again, it lacks a little bit of power, can be a little bit loopy. But overall, definitely a prodigious goal threat in the making.
Olise coming central now, past Harbour, ricochets to...
In terms of his dribbling, Olise is someone who loves to run with the ball, and that's evidenced by the stat, 8 dribbles per game. But what I would say is that he doesn't quite have that intensity of dribbling like a Nico Williams or an Ousmane Dembele. His style is less helter-skelter. He's more composed, keeps his head up, a bit more like a Ronaldinho, where he's playful with the ball, choosing his moments to burst with the ball rather than, constantly exercising that explosive pace. Yet interestingly, his composed dribbling style contrasts with his injury history. He's got that tendency for hamstring injuries, and that would suggest a more explosive playing style. But is this cautious approach in terms of picking and choosing when to run with the ball a way of managing his physical condition, or just his style of play? Now, what I would say in terms of his technique, he's got that close control, he's got that trickery, and in terms of his step overs, I wouldn't say his single step over is as earth-shattering as, say, Nico Williams in terms of deceiving defenders, but when he starts performing that double, triple step over, it can be quite fast and challenging for opponents to predict his next move. But the thing that really stands out is how glidey he is with the ball, and he navigates through defenses with ease, composure. I wouldn't say he's as agile or as nimble as Riyad Mahrez, but that glide gives him that ability to control the ball, even in very convoluted situations. And it reminds me a little bit of Odegaard, Palmer, where he's got that really head-up, glidey style, but then he's got that acceleration which can leave defenders flat-footed too. Now, Palace recently have used him in a more central inside right position. That's kind of maximised his dribbling impact. It's also reduced the physical toll on him in terms of continuous flank dribbling, and allows him to exploit central areas more effectively, where the midfielders are not generally going to be as fast as fullbacks are tracking men. But he still has that freedom to carry the ball down the line when he needs to. So he's got that versatility now in his dribbling due to Palace's tactics. Now, despite his tall frame, which would suggest a clumsier dribbling style, he's got that high success rate of 64%. So he's an efficient dribbler. He's like those Hazard type of players where his dribbling is never going to be aimless. He's assessing his opponent's positions, anticipating when to cut, hold, advance. So he's got that calculated approach, which means he seldom loses possession.
Lerma on the outside. It's the Colombian's cross. It's Olise! Oh.
In terms of his heading, Olise averages around 30% success rate, which is seemingly solid, but the eye test suggests that these numbers are deceptive. He doesn't have the most prodigious leap, but inside the box his timing in the air is okay. He positions himself quite well to meet the ball, sort of meets it really well in terms of allowing it to rest on his forehead, and that leads to goal scoring situations. But he's shown limitations in aerial duels outside the box. In general play, he turns his back to the ball too often for me. That can make him less effective. Doesn't exhibit that physical aggression, willingness to put his body on the line to win those duels. And that cautious approach means that he's sometimes out-muscled by smaller opponents. I'd say his frame isn't that slight, but he's not using it effectively. He's not a player that you would target from goal kicks or set pieces due to that sort of weak attitude he's got from those aerial balls. Overall, quite lackadaisical in the air.
Palace scored 3 times in the last 11 minutes. On a yellow card, backs off. Olise to Eze! In the blink of an eye!
In terms of creativity, Olise is not just a winger but a genuine wide playmaker, and the stats highlight his significant influence on the progression of possession from the midfield into the final third, as well as his ability to create opportunities for his teammates. He's constantly probing, opening up play, and that makes him a really influential player in dictating the game's narrative. And not many wingers can do that. They generally rely on their penetration, their crossing, but he's got that well-rounded game. Again, reminiscent of a Ronaldinho type player where he's able to almost control the tempo as well as create from wide positions. And the footage shows that this is a player with good vision, good passing technique. When he cuts inside, he's got that head up. He's seeing the gaps. He's seeing the opportunities develop in front of him. He's got an innovative passing style. He can use scoop passes, dink passes. I wouldn't say his passing is quite as elite as Cole Palmer, but he's got that natural feel for the creative aspects of the game. He genuinely enjoys setting up his teammates, and he's a selfless player. I've even seen, for example, outside of the foot, little Trivela passes where he spots people on the underlap. And generally his passes are weighted quite well. But obviously, he can at times be careless and overhit his passes. But generally, you've got to applaud his desire to attempt difficult and imaginative passes. He's someone who strikers would definitely enjoy playing with because he's looking to play them in rather than just go it alone.
Top end of the pitch, almost playing centre forward.
That's given away though by Liverpool. Olise, now Mateta, he's in, round the goalkeeper! First half here in South London. Both teams playing their part.
In possession, Olise is integral to Palace's possession game. He averages 40 passes per game, so he's heavily involved, and impressive 81% pass accuracy. A lot of midfielders would die for that level of involvement. Now, he's someone who takes risks with the ball, but those risks are measured and they're natural to him. Unlike some players who look forced when they're attempting risky passes, he does it with a calm and composed demeanour. His ability to play 1-2s, pop passes, progress the game, link up with teammates seamlessly, shows his comfort and skill in possession. He's got that ability to slow down the pace, maintain composure, even in high pressure situations. He's got that pauser. Now, despite at times being a little bit careless or overambitious, generally his contribution to possession play is significant and it's going to improve as he matures. I can imagine him being very comfortable in high stakes competitions like the Champions League and just joining in with possession, similar to someone like Jadon Sancho for Dortmund this season. Drift inside, contribute to clever passages of play, and never really be found wanting or being panicked in possession.
Olise.
In terms of crossing, statistically it's the weakest part of Olise's game, but the eye test tells a different story. In fact, it's quite baffling why his crossing statistics are so bad. No, he's got a high risk approach. Sometimes he fails to clear the first man, and that can lead to deviations, inaccuracies, or at times he's hitting the ball into dangerous areas, but the goalkeeper's coming out to intercept. But despite that, he's definitely a crossing threat, I would say. He's got a variety of delivery techniques. He demonstrates a decent understanding of dynamics within the box. He can read the situation, and that's not always reflected in the raw statistics. He's also got set piece delivery, particularly from corners, which is pretty effective. You wouldn't really be trusted to take corners if you weren't a half-decent crosser. I'd say his best cross is the inverted cross when he's cutting in from the right. I'd say his right-footed crosses do need improvement, but they're pretty decent for a weaker foot. He can sort of make it stick towards the back stick. I wouldn't say his crossing is top end. He doesn't really execute slide across crosses enough for me, or cutbacks, which we've seen with players like Yamal, who's more two-footed, he's more precise. He's even got Trivela, for example. So yeah, Olise definitely does need to refine his crossing, but I don't think it's as weak as the stats indicate.
Pascal Gross. Mitoma.
Olise's defensive capabilities might come as a surprise given his reputation as quite a offensive-minded player. Averaging almost 6 defensive actions per game, he's demonstrating a willingness to actually engage defensively and get his hands dirty when necessary. He's not afraid to go in for tackles, but what I would say is timing and execution can be inconsistent. Sometimes he's mistiming tackles, leading to missed challenges. But what I do like are his interceptions. They're quite commendable. And he's got that natural reading of the game. He's got that intelligence on the field. And he puts that to great effect in terms of anticipating opponents' movements, effectively blocking passes, and disrupting opposition play. Now, someone like Nico Williams, who we looked at in the last video, he wasn't really able to preempt runs or proactively track people. He was almost too reactive, whereas Olise's got that intelligence, and I think he's the type of player who could follow a more complex tactical plan off the ball. Overall, definitely quite surprised with his defending. I wouldn't say he's a high volume ball winner, but his ability to read the game and make impactful defensive interventions suggests that with coaching, development, he doesn't necessarily need to be a defensive liability.
Olise working hard. Aronson's able to pick up the second ball, but Olise sticks to his task and Ward goes in.
Flowing move this from Crystal Palace. Olise into Ayew. And Gerbich.
Unsurprisingly, Olise's long passing ability is a standout feature of his game with an impressive 60% accuracy rate in this department. Now, his long passes are not just floaty, lofty, they possess pace, zip, and they reach their intended targets quite swiftly without slowing down the tempo of the game. And he can do this whether it's a first-time pass or a through ball in the inside channels. He's got a 360-degree understanding of the pitch, and because he looks over his shoulder, he plays with his head up, he's able to identify and exploit spaces quite effectively, even on the run. Now, one particularly dangerous aspect of his long passing game is that ability to find fullbacks who are making runs into the box when he's quite close to goal. And that adds a new dimension to the attacking play because he can now unlock defences with almost mid-range type of long passes. We've seen Salah do this quite a bit in the recent season for Liverpool. And that's a very unique ability to dissect opposition lines and create goal-scoring opportunities using that lofted mid-range long pass.
Olise drilling it to this near side and Tyrick Mitchell. Great ball.
Tactically, Palace set up under Glasner in a 3-4-2-1, and that allows Olise to position himself as an inside right where he can contribute not just to flank play but also transitions in central areas, and it increases his involvement in goal scoring opportunities and central based playmaking. Now obviously he has that experience previously of being a more orthodox winger, but generally I think going forwards he's going to need that freedom to roam off the flank, a bit like an inverted version of a Jadon Sancho, blending wing play with playmaking responsibilities. Now for teams like Liverpool, United, who have been linked to him, I think his fit is going to depend on tactical adjustments and suitable right-back partnerships. He's also been linked to Chelsea as well. Just looking at Liverpool first, I think they'd need to alter the dynamic of their right flank to accommodate his playmaking tendencies. I don't see a natural fit between him and a current version of Trent Alexander-Arnold. For me, someone like Bradley would be more of a natural fit. For United, who are looking to potentially sign him as well, a compatible right-back is crucial. I think Dalot likes to invert and AWB likes to sit back, so I don't think either of them are a natural fit. In contrast, Chelsea, they've got that natural fit with Gusto and James as overlaps, but they've got so many right wingers. Do they really need him? There's going to have to be a significant squad restructure for him to fit in. Whether Arsenal go for him, I think that would again require a huge amount of tactical reshuffling, such as putting Saka in a more central role. PSG would probably be a more natural fit in terms of, I can imagine them shifting to a 3-4-2-1 setup where Hakimi could maybe bomb on as a right wing back and him and Dembele could play behind a striker. In conclusion, Olise is an all-encompassing winger. He's capable of playmaking, flank play, even wing forward. He's proficient at set pieces in terms of delivery, direct goal threat, so he's got a wide repertoire of skills. The question marks are the following factors. Confidence. He's a bit too confident. He's a bit cocky. Is he someone who's going to be like a Ben Arfa type of player where he's unmanageable? So finding the right coach is essential. Someone that can motivate him, but also give him the freedom to be himself, play with flair, but also give him a structure to work with as well. His fitness. Is he going to avoid injuries? That's so important to this type of player where if he does lose that acceleration, I think he's got the IQ to still be a half-decent player, but it definitely, drops him down in terms of his ceiling if he loses that athleticism in his game. In terms of trajectory, this is a player that should be playing the Champions League. He needs to be competing against other top-level players, competing against top level fullbacks or even, CDMs if he plays in a more central region. That's going to really push him in terms of making him a more motivated player at the highest level. Playing at Palace is too low for him. He needs to be playing at a high level 100%. Is he a generational player? Yeah, I'd say he's definitely got a generational ceiling. Is he a GOAT level winger? I don't know. I think someone like Yamal has got a higher level to his game, more precision, more agile, more athletic. But definitely he's got that IQ to impact potentially the biggest games in the world. But he needs that right guidance and needs that right dedication and he needs that right amount of luck to avoid injuries. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, share and subscribe and see you guys again next time. Bye.
Spare for Guardiola, joy for Mourinho.